Hey everybody, this is Perch. Let's talk about variant covers. Why not? Variant covers are always fun. Who doesn't love variant covers? Well, me. But anyway, here's a question about how covers work. I still think that, in general, as I've mentioned before, well, it's been a while. Variant covers to me is a unnatural kind of scheme method to prop up comics and stories that really shouldn't be. That it spikes the sales in unnatural ways. It's a bad crutch. And really where you see this go wrong is when you've got like Iron Man #1 with 32 variant covers. Okay, that's too many. And by doing that many variant covers, what you're doing is you're trying to unnaturally spike the sales number so you can go, oh, look, Iron Man #1 sold 120,000 copies. Except that really doesn't mean shit because your Iron Man #2 issue will immediately fall to, oh, I don't know, 40,000 copies. And so it becomes a game of who are you kidding? And it's just that's not a normal natural thing to do. It's not helpful. And as you see over time, it's causing more and more chaos. So this question kind of gets into some of that, but it goes, how do covers work anyway? So, hey, Perch, going to keep this short if I can. I'm a collector at heart, so I always buy up A covers, but I often see the cardstock covers or B covers and think, damn, that's a much better cover. These aren't incentives, they're just alternate covers, same cover price, or maybe $1 on top, usually because of the paper stock, not the cover. Why aren't those great covers just the A covers? How does the cover side of the business work? If you're hiring Brett Booth to do a B cover for $3.99 and the A cover is $8.99, why wouldn't you just hire Booth to do A? Presentation matters, and I'm sorry, Marvel, but these minimalist digital A covers just don't do it for me and often makes me feel disappointed by a book before I even read it. So, why do people do the things they do? Yeah, I don't know. So fundamentally, what's going on there is that Marvel or DC, when they have the A and the B cover, they're basically just they're trying to sell more copies. They are looking for people who are going to buy A and B. They're kind of saying, but it's one of those kind of broken thought processes where in their minds they're going, well, people are going to want to buy the A cover because that's what people do. They're going to buy cover A. But then if we play our cards right, we can get them to buy a second copy of the comic for B because we got Brett Booth over here and people like Booth. So, they'll buy two things. That's what's going on in their head. Now, I don't know that it always works that way. And it's basically, it's actually counting on what you said in the mail that you do, which is you always buy the A cover because you're a collector at heart and you want the run of the regular cover and you don't, and there are people out there, certainly lots of people came into the shop who would resist the variant covers or they would buy a second copy of the variant cover because they wanted their run to be intact with the A covers. It's really hard to gauge if that matters. So when people have come in and sold a run or when they put a run of comics up for auction, like a big run, there's a certain collector mentality that says they all should be A covers, but that seems to matter less and less and less. And in part, I think it's because the artists who are on a lot of the variants are bigger name artists, and collectors often like the bigger name artists. So, it becomes do you really need, like, as a purist, do you really need a run with just the A cover? It's that whole argument starts to break down a little bit if you really think about it. And I think a lot of people are thinking about it. We're seeing pretty major shifts and moves in the back issue market, and it's kind of hard to say where it's all going. But anyway, that's what you got there. I don't know. I think if you're, well, here's the other problem. The thing I'll throw in there for what it's worth. For a while, there was this argument of, hey, the cover artist should be the interior artist. And if you're hiring somebody other than the cover artist to do other than the interior artist to do the cover, then that's kind of bait and switch. And that was a thought process that went on a lot in the 80s, the 90s, 2000, and then the teens that started to fall apart. And it's, I think a lot of fans, a lot of customers still think that way. I think that's what they would prefer. But the comic publishers don't give any shits at this point, and putting a Alex Ross cover on or like going for something else is just, they just do it. And suck it. The interior art. I mean, it's like at this point, everybody knows that the interior art is probably different from the cover art, and it doesn't matter at this point. Everybody's given up. I think still, if you went out and you surveyed customers, you surveyed the fans, and you said, "Hey, what do you want for the cover? Do you want the interior artist on the cover or not?" I would be willing to bet an overwhelming majority of people would say they want it the same. They do not like the Alex Ross as much as they love Alex Ross or Peach Momoko, and they absolutely love Peach Momoko, but putting Peach Momoko on the cover and then having a different artist on the interior still feels like a scam on some level. I bet you would get, I don't know, 80% respondents would say, maybe not that high, but I think it would definitely be the majority would say that. But regardless, comic publishers are doing their own thing anyway, and this is the model they have, and in their minds it is, hey, we need to have a cover that's going to draw attention. We need to spike the sales on the shelves. Therefore, let's get Alex Ross here, even though the interior art is nothing like Alex Ross. That's what we're going to do. I think that too is a bit of a fallacy. Yes, you want the cover to be exciting and help it jump off the shelves, but we're seeing comic shops increasingly not carry new issues, but rather do it on demand. Meaning, if you order through the comic shop, then they will purchase it and put it in a box for you, but they're not actually carrying much for the shelves anymore. And so what shelves are these comics exactly going to jump off of if they're not even being sold there? I mean, I don't know. You play this thing out for 5 to 10 years. I think a lot of the kind of industry knowledge, the domain knowledge, the tribal knowledge, is just falling apart. I think if you're selling a trade in a Barnes and Noble or a bookseller of some kind, then having a good trade dress, good cover design, all that stuff probably matters a lot. But that's the only thing that's in the mass market bookstores anymore, or trades. So so this is where it's all going. I'm so kind of why I'm trying to explain why they do it this way. I mean, in part, it's because they're trying to get that extra sale. They're trying to get that extra little bounce. In part, it's because they believe that you got to put talent on the book that's going to cause it to leap off the shelves, and that often is not the artist you came to the party with for the book itself. So there's a lot of decisions that have kind of been wrapped up in this that have gotten us here. Not good decisions, and decisions sometimes based on very old understandings of how things work. But here we are, and that's kind of that's where it sits. I for me, I even if the interior artist is certainly not a big name, I'm one of those people. I'd rather see the cover match the interior. I'm crazy that way. I know. I also think that variant covers in general are largely a bad idea, and I think they cause problems. I think they're not. I don't think they're good. I wish that we weren't so dependent on them. But at the same time, I get it. The world has moved on. Whatever I want is not. That's not how the business is structured anymore. So suck it up, as they say, and just deal with it, because that's what we have. I still think that there comes a point, and I think that point is probably closer than people want to admit, where comics are going to have to reckon with both putting in comics that are going to sell on their own merits, putting creators on books that are actually going to move copies, not friends of friends or any of that kind of stuff. I just think the comic industry is reaching a tipping point where the actual comic itself is going to need to sell, where the actual book is going to need to be attractive, where gimmicks are not going to do the job. I think we're headed there. I think we're well on our way there. And I think you see a lot of signs that is how people, that's how the buyers view things. And I think the only reason why we haven't gotten there faster, or things that have held us back, is simply, there's not a lot of money in comics, so there's not a huge urgency to change. And the two biggest companies are propped up by multi-billion-dollar corporations that, quite frankly, don't need to make money. That's where a lot of these speculation videos and blogs and everything about, oh, their DC's going to fold, Zaslav's not going to want to spend this money. It's not a lot of money. It's very, very little money. And just like comic industry has tribal knowledge that may or may not be actually accurate, the movie industry has beliefs of marketing and IP generation and other things that also might not be accurate, but that's what they're running with. And I think that if Marvel was an independent company, if DC was an independent company, you would not see a lot of what's going on. You would definitely see a drive to sell comics and go on merit, and and because you'd have to, because that's you couldn't survive another way. I think that the only reason we're seeing what we're seeing right now is, again, these groups are bankrolled, and as long as they're bankrolled at that level, we get what we get. So anyway, hope that answered your question. Let me know what you think. What about you guys? Do you want cover artist match interior? Is that what you want? Hair matches drapes. What is it? Anyway, um, what do you want? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, of course, and thanks for listening.